This is therapy. This is therapy for me.
I mean, I'm right there with you, man. It
It's
doesn't happen
cheaper.
often enough. It definitely is cheaper.
All right. Hey guys, yo yo. Here we go. Over there in the state of Ohio is Jack Rizzo. That's a lot of rhyming right there. That's a
That
lot of
is.
O's. I
You
am
are talented.
RJ Dufresne. We are about 2 weeks away from the 2020 presidential election, and we're going to chit chat about it because we haven't chit chatted in a while. And so, first question, the most important question is, Jack, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing awesome, man. I am, as much as I haven't watched football this year, I'm still basking in the afterglow of the beatdown that the Steelers gave to the Browns. It
Right.
made me the most popular guy in the town, obviously, because I rocked my Steelers gear the next day at work.
I'm sure. I'm sure you got a
But
lot of love, a lot of hugs.
well, the plus side is nobody wanted to talk to me, so I got a lot of work done.
Well, there you go. That's every team that every time the Browns lose, you should just wear that team.
That's exactly.
You know.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't wear cowboy stuff.
Well, that is true, but they are
Although that,
playing. Actually, I think they're division this year.
yeah.
They're playing
So
the Reds, Cowboys, and the Giants, and all those people.
so there's at least one game where I'm rooting for the Browns. You know.
Well, they I haven't watched hardly any football either. I've watched one game. I was up at my parents' house last week
Hmm.
um, for the Eagles game,
Ooh,
so I decided to watch that. But yeah, I still look at the scores. I still
yeah,
like update it and but I find it a lot more peaceful when I don't watch.
yeah. No,
I can tell you
exactly.
that.
It's a lot less stressful. And my philosophy is the trick is to DVR the games if you do want to watch them, and then fast forward through all the commercials. That way, there's no commercial benefit towards towards the NFL, and all
Right.
you're doing is observing the game. So, or
Well, the
just
other
keep track of the
beauty
score.
of it is right. The other beauty of it is you can go on YouTube within hours and watch a 13 to 15 minute highlight reel on what
Yeah,
happened. Actually, it's not a stupid announcer. It's just the real game footage of what happened, and you don't have to watch any of the commercials or the Tony Romo blabbing on and on. You don't have to get all the announcers bias commentary that you have to sit through all the time. But
right. No Chris Collinsworth. I mean, anytime you
no,
can remove Chris Collinsworth from your life, it's a good day.
yeah, and as bad as some of these announcers are getting, Chris is almost becoming normal. But I know it's that's hard to say
That is
because he's
that
still
is
pretty bad. He still
that's
can't.
hard to hear.
No, it's a mute. It's an automatic mute. And a good thing, it's a good thing he only does football. I mean, Joe Buck, you got to listen. He does
Oh my
baseball as
God.
well, so you got to listen to that. I'm sure he does like track and field and ping pong at some point too. Uh,
It's wherever.
he's just on the coattails of his dad. But
Well, I
no,
mean,
I haven't watched. I mean, I follow along. I know what's going on,
hmm
but there's just something sick in my stomach. Now I know they've kind of went away from all that
hmm
a little bit, unlike the NBA, whose ratings are worse than Clifford the Red Dog. I think it's pretty
well,
close.
well, Clifford has entertainment value.
Yeah, I mean, what is on like the Sprout channel or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah,
But the thing is, so the NBA lost 70% of their viewership over the playoffs, and from all from all reports, it weren't horrible games. It's not like it was a bad product out there. Just people are sick of having the Black Lives Matter and social justice warrior politics shoved down their throats. So they've literally announced that next year they're dropping the whole social justice message.
right. Because of this,
Yeah, and I don't
these guys still want to get paid.
and I don't give any of them their opinion. Whatever they want to believe is what they want to believe.
Right.
But there are times where you can you can do it after your press conference. You can have that be a time where you want to say, hey, I want to talk about this thing I'm passionate about. Or if you do an interview with a podcast or on ESPN or whatever, during the games, let people enjoy the games because that's what pays your livelihood. And
Right.
you're just shooting yourself in the foot if you don't understand that.
It's 2020. You have every medium in the world to get your message out. Okay, LeBron can make his casting channel and have millions of views, millions of followers
Yeah,
just like that, and he
yeah,
can get it out just like that. He says, "Hey, basketball time is basketball time,
hmm
and my time is my time." And if you even look back in the old days, I know you're a Yankees fan, but I always found it fascinating back in the late '70s when they won two in a row as Zoo.
hmm
The guys didn't like it. Billy Martin, Reggie Jackson,
no,
they're always fighting.
no,
Thurman Munson, they're always going at each other. But once the game started, they were Yankees. We played
exactly.
hard. We played for each other. And that's all that matters. After the game, who cares? And it's just the way it should be in any sport. I'll go through this a million times. Like, if you do that to your product, people aren't going to watch. This
Yeah,
is an escape. We
yeah,
work hard all day. We got the kids. We got the wife. We got, the car payments. We got bills. We got stuff. Sitting down on a Sunday afternoon and going, oh, let me get 3 hours of enjoyment. Turn it
yeah.
on. And then the first thing you do is see, people kneeling down and they're wearing their shirts and their stupid, SJW things on their helmets.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can I ever get away from? There's no escape anymore.
No,
There's no
no.
escape anymore. And
But
that's what basketball never figured out. And the good thing about golf, they didn't do any of that.
no.
Even NASCAR did some of it.
Yeah, which was
Yeah.
shocking.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, they did. Yeah, but they went away with that pretty quick.
Yeah.
A lot of that was from one guy, but golf, they never mentioned it. They never put anything on the green. They never had a Black Lives Matter flag on 18. They just like we're here to play golf and that's it.
Well,
And that's the way it should be. And so hopefully that's going to go away
yeah. Well,
and
I'm
be done
hopeful
with.
for it. Well, the thing is that they had such an opportunity coming out of what was essentially a shutdown of entertainment across America. You had the opportunity if you were a sports entity of absolutely elevating yourself and making not just a monetary killing, but setting up an entirely new fan base, people who are just starved for any kind of entertainment that wouldn't have necessarily cared about your product before. If you had just said, okay, this is like you said, this is an escape from reality. We're going to put all this crap that's happening in the real world to the side, and we're just going to entertain you guys for a couple of hours.
Right.
And they would have not only would they have made huge amounts of money, but they would have been embraced by a nation and by a world who was starving for that stuff.
Right.
And
And that's the
and
thing that they were starving for. We had nothing for months.
yeah,
And all you had to do was put it out there. Say, okay, we're playing again. College football, I don't think college football has done it either. People are still watching college football,
yep,
but because they're hungry for it. And even the NFL week 1 and week 2, especially week 1, they went
yeah,
they went full board SJW, and their ratings just tanked because they
yeah,
just don't want to see it. And then
no,
once they start taking it out, the viewership starts coming back.
exactly, exactly. And that's what the other sports are seeing is that they do recognize that the NFL, which is the powerhouse amongst all sports in America, they saw that huge drop off in week one, and like you said, in a little bit of week two, and then they saw as they took that away, their viewership came back, and of course, the other commissioners of the other sports leagues aren't idiots. They're going to look at that and they're going to say, okay, what are they doing that worked and what did we do that didn't, and let's make that decision going forward. And
Right.
if you piss off some of your players doing that, speaking strictly as a commissioner, your job is to protect the league. Your job is to ensure the health and viability of that league going forward. If you sacrifice a few pissed off players, oh well, that's just too damn bad. I know you have these little issues that you want to get into, but I'm sorry, my job is to make sure that 20, 30, 40 years from now, there's still a league
There's still a
for
league, right?
you to be able to put your message out into.
And the only way you'll have a league is if there's fans. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you can alienate the players, but if you alienate half of your fans, they're not gonna pass it down to their kids. They're not gonna pass
Oh,
it down to their grandkids. They're not gonna go to the stadium anymore. And yeah, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, you're not going to recognize. I mean, I don't even recognize it right now. The product that I used to see, in the 90s, and
hmm
it's just not there anymore. And I think the NFL is kind of getting crazy anyways with the flags, and it's just too much, roughing the quarterback.
Right.
People don't want to see that either. But
No.
once they went full board SJW, people are like, no. I'll see if they won when I go to bed tonight, and that's it. So
Exactly. Exactly. So,
so I just don't know I think it's just a cool thing to do. I think some of these and NFL's a company, it's a business, and all these businesses were like, well, we need to do this or we're going to get in trouble and it's actually the opposite.
right.
If you actually
Right.
stood your ground, you'd probably would be. I think the UFC, the fighting, the
hmm
MMA, I think their ratings are going through the roof because
They,
they're like,
yeah,
no, we're fighting. That's it.
they are.
We're standing our ground. We're not putting up with it. We're giving you entertainment. That's what we're
Even
here for.
even things that aren't sports like wrestling, but that's a pseudo sport. They didn't embrace that stuff. They just said, okay, we're just because they recognize we're just entertainment.
Right.
Okay, we're just going to entertain folks, and their ratings for wrestling have been down historically the last few years. It's just not been a great product. But
Right.
they had a ratings boom because they were one of the very few places where you could tune in and you weren't going to get this stupid message shoved down your throat every time you turned around.
Right. It's not just sports. It's anything. It's when you go, like, I mean, I like coffee. Starbucks was kind of going that way too. Everything they have to put some SJW thing on their cup, or they can't say Merry Christmas. They have to stay like you're a company. You make coffee.
hmm
I have money. I give you money for the cup of coffee. Shut the fuck up. That's all I want. I don't want you to preach to me at all. I don't want you to tell me how bad I am because of the skin, the color of my skin, and how virtuous you are because you care about this or that. I want my coffee. That's it. Do you want the money? Give me the coffee. It's
oh
that simple.
yeah, I don't understand the mindset of companies that will do that. I can't put myself in the position of a CEO or a president of a large company who will sit here and literally say, I'm going to willingly alienate 40 to 60% minimum of my customers. You just how do you survive? Not only how do you survive as a company, but how do you keep your job? Because
Right.
these people are, if you're a CEO, you're beholden to the stockholders. If it's a publicly held company, the stockholders will see if your profits are going down, your stock's going to crash, and they're going to try to figure out what the crap is going on here. And then, oh, that dumbass right there, he made this decision. Let's get rid of him because one person is expendable. I'm sorry, I don't care who
No,
you are.
no, it is, and what you don't see is the companies that are actually still running by the people who formed the company that started it from the ground up.
Mhm.
They don't do this stuff. It's the ones that the generation or two, the ones that the kids come in, they don't remember being built from the top. They're already spoiled enough. They come in there, they don't have to build it up, so they have to find their virtue somewhere else, and that's when they start bringing this other crap in
Yep.
to make themselves feel better. But Chick-fil-A will go down in 20 years. They'll go down the same road because their owner died. So
Yeah.
some other grandchild will start running Chick-fil-A, and they'll be spoiled and rotten, and they'll be doing Hunter Biden type things, and they'll because they were just born with a silver spoon. There's no drive in them
Yeah.
anymore. So they have to do something easy to feel virtuous instead of, hey, I built this company from the ground up, and now look at me. They didn't need to do that other stuff.
Well,
as the second or third generation
right.
comes
And
in and does.
that's the amazing thing. If you look at Donald Trump's kids, that's the amazing thing about them is how balanced they are and how successful they are on their in their own right, and how what a great attitude they have. Where they're not, you would anticipate somebody in their position would come out just absolutely spoiled and worthless, and they, you know, you might not agree with them politically on every single thing, but top to bottom, they seem like good people. They seem like the
Right.
kind of people that you could trust with just about anything. You know,
Well, it's probably because Donald put him in positions to succeed. He didn't give him everything,
no,
but he's like, this is your job. You need to make this work, or I'm
hmm
not going to give you another job anymore.
right,
Uh, uh, you know, and work your way up. Have something of value that some sort of success that you have achieved, not achievement through your name. Like,
yeah,
again, Hunter Biden, who
right.
probably hasn't, he hasn't done nothing. I mean, there's nothing he's done on his own without
Well,
his dad's name.
I was going to say he's done stuff, but I don't know if he's done anything positive.
Not really anything positive, but he's never like worked hard and built his
No,
way up and just try to. I mean, he was given everything he has, all the way from that Burisma job where he's making $58,000 a month. Um, well, maybe we're gonna get into that too, but um,
yeah. Well, he has
yeah,
he has done one thing. He has, in my opinion, virtually guaranteed that his dad's going to lose the election.
I actually over the last I don't know 4 or 5 days, I've always thought Trump would win. I've never been,
Right.
I've been like, but at the last 4 or 5 days, I think it's pretty much guaranteed. I actually bet on it Saturday on
Oh,
an
really?
offshore account, $500 I bet. And
Hmm.
but Trump's right now he's the underdog. I have plus 145. And if you don't know what that means in
Really?
betting, that means it's if I bet 500, I get that 500 plus another percentage, because if I voted for Biden, I would get that, and he won. I bet the same 500, I get less than the 500 because he's the
Right.
favorite.
Right.
Okay, and so as long as he's like the underdog, I would have bet 1,000, but they only had a $500 limit on it. Uh, yeah, I think it's pretty, and we can jump right into that. I think
Yeah.
it's pretty much a done deal. Not this stuff is helping the Hunter
Hmm.
Biden stuff. Where Joe Biden has look, at least Hillary had people come up to her rallies.
Right. Right.
There's no there's nobody coming to this guy's stuff.
No, no. I mean, they literally,
How is he
it's
favored?
right. So this week, what we've seen is we've seen um, two Biden campaign rallies, both of which
One
had,
was in
had
Durham, by the way.
oh, was one.
There's
Okay.
one in Durham, yeah. With the
So,
circles and you
yeah.
know.
So, one of which famously everybody talks about the teleprompter was larger than the crowd, which it was. It was the largest teleprompter I've ever seen in my life. But you definitely could put the entire crowd onto the campaign bus. You literally could have just said, "Hey, let's just go into the bus and hang out for a while," and and had everybody in there. But then on top of that, on top of his massive unpopularity, then you have the Hunter Biden laptop that, from what I'm hearing, the FBI's had for a year, had this information for a year, which has all kinds of emails from Burisma, from North Korea, from China, things referring to his dad, his political influence, literally talking about bribery. Um, have you ever seen a clusterfuck nearly as bad as this? Because, like you said, I don't know why, but Biden's still considered in all the polls favored, but I don't see it.
Well, even the majority of people don't really care about the news. I don't
Mhm.
think.
Right.
I don't think most people care about their bills and their kids, and which is fine.
Hmm.
And they get their news, whatever, hearsay. But you could take all that away. There's no enthusiasm. There's no enthusiasm. Plus, Trump's an incumbent anyways. You,
Hmm.
you look at the last incumbents. that have lost. You had George H.W. Bush, who wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have lost if Ross Perot didn't get his nose into the
Right.
fray. He took
Right.
20% of the vote, and
Mm-hmm.
most of that was the Republican vote.
Yes.
And then you had Jimmy Carter, who was just a complete failure to begin with.
Yeah.
This is our lifetime. This is our lifetime, only two.
Right.
So what's that look like for Trump now? Nothing I see that's going to say that he's going to lose his incumbency to a 78-year-old establishment guy that's been in before we were even born,
Yeah.
who's done nothing, who has no enthusiasm, doesn't know where he is, who picked the worst vice presidential candidate you can ever think of. And I am convinced we've had three. Well, let's see. Yeah, three vice presidential candidates that are women. I think they're all Hail Marys. From
Mm-hmm.
Geraldine Ferraro.
Yep.
Mondale wasn't going to win. He knew he wasn't going to win. They all knew he wasn't going to win. To Sarah Palin, who, even though brought enthusiasm, was still pretty much a Hail Mary by John McCain. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I better
Right.
do something.
Right.
To Kamala Harris. And
Who couldn't even win the nomination of her party.
she didn't even get a vote, I don't think. I don't
Right.
think she got a primary. She didn't get a vote in any primary. I think she dropped out before the primaries even started.
The highest I saw her ever poll was, I want to say, either 3 or 6%. And of course, now that's granted, that's with, a crowd of 20 some people running. So nobody's going to get a massive percent, but she was never even in the top three
No.
of the people who are running.
No, and the fact that she jumped out early was kind of suspicious. Maybe they knew she wanted to be. They were going to put her as a running mate, anyways. To say they were the first. Democrat Party was the first to nominate a black woman to, and like, it's this whole year has been weird. The Democrat Party has been weird to me.
Well,
I still don't understand why they picked this guy. I still think that they knew they were going to lose. I think they know they're going to lose now. The fact that the polls are up is just to suppress Trump voters from giving money.
yeah.
Right? They're still going to come out and vote, but
Well,
there's a difference
the
between
thing.
that and handing somebody money.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is that the polls, from what I'm hearing, a lot of people are lying to the pollsters about who they're wanting to vote for, which is why you do see it skew so much for Biden. Plus, the way, if you know anything about polling, the pool that they call are generally going to vote more liberal anyway. But the whole purpose of the poll is to drive down the Trump vote. The difference between now and say when Reagan was running, or when George Bush the first was running, is the eyes of the public are open to this crap now, and
Right.
all you're doing, if you're the Washington Post and you're trying to put out a poll that says Biden's leading by 17,000% in every single state that they polled, all you're doing is driving the voters to the polling places. All you're doing is telling Trump voters, okay, get out there and vote.
Right. And
You
I
know?
think that's what happened in 2016. That I think everybody knew that Hillary was going to win, so we're like, well, it's kind of cold outside. I mean, she's going to win anyways. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword. You're
Yeah.
you're telling your base that it's over, so you don't need to come out,
Mm-hmm.
and you're also trying to. And also, yeah, you're telling the other base, hey, we better get our act together and get out there and vote.
Yeah.
It's the same way. It's like that they're not understanding. I really do think, no matter you like Trump or whatever, I think when it's all said and done, we look back at it. Trump was the monkey wrench in the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's caused the Democrat Party, even the Republican Party, to be
Yeah.
like, oh crap, this isn't 1970s anymore. This isn't the 1980s anymore. This is the first time in my lifetime where we are on the offensive. The Republicans are being on the offensive instead of defensive. And not only does the Republicans not know how to handle that, but the Democrats really don't know how to handle that,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just doubling down.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, they got to wake up and say, what we're doing is not working. We can't keep putting marks. We can't keep promoting Antifa and Black Lives Matter and all these other Marxist, communist. Oh yeah, we'll take you. We'll take you. All that doing is driving the middle away. That's driving the older people away. It's just all you think you're appeasing to is the 22-year-old college kid who's smoking pot, thinking they're going to get free education and free weed the rest of their life.
Right.
That's all you're appeasing it to, and they're going to end up. I personally think one day have to wake up and say we need to centralize a little bit, but we're not going to have a party anymore, which they might not. Who knows?
No, I can see in the next 10 years the Democrat Party going the way of the Whigs. Because and for the same reason they become too accepting of outside influences. I am a registered Republican. I'm not. I consider myself more libertarian, conservative with libertarian leanings. I'm not a big fan of the Republican Party, the apparatus. But
they've done bad. They've done bad stuff. Yeah.
But at least they've had a centralized vision for the most part over the last, at least over my lifetime, over the last 50 years. But to your point, when you see Trump, you see somebody who, in full disclosure, I'm more of a Trump fan now, but I was not a Trump fan in the beginning. I wrote in third party candidate. I wrote in Ted Cruz's name whenever I voted. And thank God that Trump won, or we would have been really screwed. But so I've kind of come around on this, and the reason I've come around on it is, as you said, Trump. He's the monkey wrench in the system. Now we saw a little bit of this with Reagan. Reagan was willing to stand up to anybody, but he didn't have. I don't want to say he didn't have the balls that Trump did, but he was more finesse than Trump. And sometimes that lack of finesse gets you brownie points. Trump is the first person I've seen who is actually, whether it's by design or whether it's by accident, because there's a theory that it's all by accident. He's the first person I've seen who's actually gone into Washington, found things that are wrong. Like we're seeing all this child sex trafficking and stuff like that. That's all coming to light.
Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it.
If Hillary was in office, I doubt that would be a thing that would be going on. That we'd be seeing all these arrests going on, and it's literally Trump poking everything with a sharp stick and seeing if hornets fly out. Right. And and again, I don't know if that's by design or if that's just him saying, "Hey, I'm bored today. What kind of pot can I stir?"
No, I think it's not because he's bored or it's on by design. I think he really has an idea. He doesn't look at things as a politician. He looks at things as a business. This needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed now. But, back in the day, we needed to have a meeting, and we'll have a conference, and we'll have a summit, and then we'll talk about this. We'll get the leaders together. Trump does all what used to take 3 years takes a week now. Yeah. Okay. No, we're getting this done. Like, what do we need to do? Let's figure this out. And he's just a special guy, and I mean that he just has all the energy in the world. He never sleeps. He knows where he's going at all times. He knows his plan, and he's always 2 or 3 steps ahead. They're like, I think it was Limbaugh said, he's playing chess and they're playing checkers. Yeah. And you're not going to lose. You're not going to win playing checkers. No. He's gonna checkmate your ass before you even make a first move. And he's not just doing it to the Democrats. He's doing it to the establishment. Yes. Okay. Yeah. The George Bushes in the world and the McCains in the world. All these people that are just, the system can't survive without us. Bullshit. It can. We don't need you anymore. Go away. Right. And Reagan was more finesse. He had that ability to have Tip O'Neill like him, to have Sam Donaldson in the media like him. Yeah. He has that ability. We don't have that ability. We might not have that ability, but what we do have is when Trump says, no, we're good. We can say we now. I think the Republican base and the conservatives and normal average leave me alone Americans now have enough guts to say no. Yeah. Screw you.
Yeah, exactly. And he's
a normal human being. Reagan was not. Reagan was up here. Trump's normal in my mind. With
No, you're exactly right. And Reagan was a once in a century type politician. We were gifted with two of those in the 20th century, him and Coolidge. But very very rarely do you see somebody like that come around. Trump is, like you said, he's just a regular guy. Now he's a regular guy who is willing to, at the negotiating table, willing to get up and walk away,
yeah,
which is unheard of in the world of politics. You don't just get up and walk away. You're sitting at the table with North Korea, and they've got nuclear arms. Don't you know if you get up and walk away, you could be risking nuclear war? Yeah, okay, try
yeah,
it.
exactly. He has a position of power.
Mhm,
They have a position of strength.
yeah,
He can do that.
yeah. So
And
I
that's
think,
if Trump has anything, his whole life is the position of strength.
yeah, I think that any any great businessman, go back through history, somebody like a Lee Iacocca, or
Yeah.
somebody like a Steve Jobs, or God forbid, a Bill Gates or Mark Cuban, they would be just as effective as Trump. Now we wouldn't like their policies, especially a couple of those guys, but they would be just as effective as him because they aren't politicians, because they are willing to go to the negotiating table and get what they came there for,
Right.
and walk away if it's not the deal they want.
If
They're
it's
willing
not
to
the
walk
deal.
away.
Right.
And you and I have argued for decades about, this is, America is not necessarily a business, but if it was, these are our employees, and we demand accountability. We should, as people, as citizens, we should demand accountability from them. As far as, if you're in the local gas station and you had the guy running it, and he was all buddy buddy with your competitors, and he was willing to turn a blind eye when people were coming in and just stealing your shit, and he wasn't gonna hire good people to come in. He just hired his buddies to come in, no matter how good of a job or how bad of a job he did. You'd fire his ass.
Yeah.
Well, we finally have somebody in the White House who has that mindset. Now, he has the mindset of he's the boss, but when he says, I'm going to do this, you elect me and I'm going to do this, he's going to try his best to actually do what he said he's going to do.
Right.
And he's not going to stop until he's accomplished that, or at least given it his absolute best effort, because he understands that he was hired for that job.
Right.
He wasn't put in a position of power to be a figurehead and just scream platitudes and make sure that we play nicey nice with people who want to kill us. He understands that his job is to be the president, to negotiate the best deals for this country, to uphold the Constitution as best he sees fit, to nominate great people to the court, not the people who are going to make the press happy, but people who actually will uphold the Constitution and will do good things for the country going forward.
Right. And make no mistake about it, when he first was president, he hired what he thought was the best people for his cabinet at the time, the Jeff
Yeah,
Sessions of the world and the Mattises and the not all of them panned out, but even his campaign manager. But once they didn't pan out, gone, bring in the
yeah,
next one.
yeah.
And he made a good choice. I wasn't a big Pence fan really,
Hmm.
but well, man, that's a pick that he nailed
Yeah,
because he's probably one of the first vice presidents that's actually doing something.
yeah,
He has a job.
yeah.
And Trump says you're not going to be a figurehead. You're not going to just I'm not just going to fly you around. And you can meet people or go down to the hurricane site and no, you're going to work. Are you ready to work? We'll put you in.
Yep.
So
And Mike Pence was he you're right, he was probably the most perfect vice presidential pick.
for him,
I know in my lifetime for sure, period.
yeah,
But I can't think of a vice president until you get to the original founding fathers. I can't think of a vice president that was a better vice president than Mike Pence has been, and
right.
and
Well,
it will continue to be.
yeah, but back then you weren't picking vice presidents. They just came in second place.
Exactly. So you can't really compare. It's not apples to apples, you know.
Right.
But yeah, and Pence kind of showed that in his debate against Kamala Harris, where he showed her for what she is. She was who we thought she was.
Yes.
She was this smarmy, just hanger on who just I don't want to say she's not talented. She obviously knows something to be in the position that she's in,
Oh yeah,
but
she does.
she, she's got bad skills, yo.
She knows she's got some talent, let me tell you.
but but he showed her to be about an eighth of an inch deep, uh, and that little smirk that she gets, the
Oh, the
whole the
smirk
whole,
and the yeah the little laugh, the snarky laugh, and all the squeeches. It's like, I don't think America is ready for a woman to be in that high of a power. I just don't think so. But it's not going to be somebody like that.
no, no,
You can't have these squeaky and laughy, and you have to have a Margaret Thatcher walk in that door before anybody, someone that's like business serious, we're getting this done, like a Candace Owens or someone like that. It has to be
yeah,
like a Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher didn't giggle and squawk and
no,
squeak and roll her eyes and flick her hair. She didn't do any of that. You knew she was the boss, and
yep.
she came in there and did it.
Well,
That's
and the
what
thing
you're
is,
gonna have to have. So they're picking the wrong women, to be honest with you.
right. Well, the thing is Margaret Thatcher she was basically a female Reagan,
Yeah,
but she was also 100% woman. She didn't try to be Hillary, where she was trying to be a man.
yeah, wear
She,
man
she
pants, man
right,
suit.
exactly. She was refined. She was a lady of the first order, but she was tough as nails, and she wasn't going to take anything from anybody that she didn't see any benefit to it. I think that obviously, I think in our lifetime we're going to see a woman president, but I think it's going to have to be. Of course, I said this about a black president too. I think it's going to have to be a conservative, and not just because I would want that, but also because that's where you actually have your strong personalities. Even on the Democrat side, somebody like Tulsi Gabbard, who honestly who probably could have won going against Trump if she had gotten the nomination. She's the only person I saw on the Democrat side who could have actually given Trump a run for his money, and that's because she was a great personality. She is a veteran. She had conviction. She had values, and she had the benefit of being a woman. And let's not kid ourselves. That is, in today's political climate, if you're a woman running for office, you have a benefit there.
Yeah, you do have a benefit in some offices, right? I do think that as far as being the president, and I'll say this because I don't think women vote for women. To be honest
No,
with you,
no,
Western women are they're always, oh, she's better than me. Like what is she like? I don't know. I don't know. I in our lifetime, it's going to be tough, and I
you
think it will
gonna
be a
take that.
conservative.
You gonna
If that
take that.
happens, it will be a conservative. I think so.
I mean,
Um,
I'd vote for Candace Owens right now.
yeah.
I'd vote for what's her name, the governor of I think it's Montana.
No,
Uh,
you're talking about Christy Nome from
yeah,
South Dakota.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, from
she's
South.
pretty. I like her a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'd vote for her if she was on the ballot. I'd vote for her in a heartbeat. Yeah,
Right. But you know what? They're gonna throw someone like Nikki Haley, and I'm not a big Nikki Haley fan. I mean, she's okay, but
yeah,
um, Candace Owens doesn't squeak and giggle and all that
no,
stuff. She's like
no,
boom, 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 like Margaret Thatcher. Like, yeah, she was a woman, but you knew she was the boss, and she was smart, and she knew what she was doing. She knew where she was going. She knew what she
yeah.
wanted to do.
And the
But
great
that's
thing about the difference between the conservative women and the liberal women is the conservative women don't say vote for me because I'm a woman. I mean, it's as simple as that. They don't say, okay, I'm the first black woman or I'm the first
right,
Hispanic woman. No, they say, okay, this is what I believe in. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I have done. Now vote for me based on my track record.
right.
The,
I'm the best person for the job.
yeah,
They don't use a trait that they have no control over. By the way,
no, no.
they don't have no
Well, these
control.
days
You don't
I
have
don't
control.
know. You can
Well,
control it a little bit,
you have no control what you were born
right?
as. You have no control of your skin color. Um, that these people, especially on the left, they use to gain power or create some sort of victimhood, and to try to get a higher a place in life instead of are you the best person for the job? Because
Exactly.
conservative women don't do that. Plus, they're better looking. I mean,
I mean, yeah, that's
Christy Nome, Candace Owens.
ooh,
I'm not. I'm not. I
it's not
never
my
dated a
flavor.
black
It's
woman,
not
but
my flavor, but I wouldn't mind trying that ice cream.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So right, so it's. I heard that there's more to come. Like there's going to be even a bigger October surprise in the next few days. That's going to blow all this out of the water.
hmm
From pictures and videos and yeah, I don't know, anywhere from Hunter Biden, underage girls
yeah,
type
yeah.
thing while doing blow on their backside, or so, who knows, like I've heard a lot of different things, but from what I think it was Rudy Giuliani said, like probably about 10 days out, which is in another
Another couple of
probably,
days.
yeah, a couple of days, probably by the weekend, maybe a Friday. They said there's more to come.
Yeah,
So
and
they've already thrown everything at Trump. They've thrown everything at him. Nothing works. That's another reason I don't think he's going to lose. Like what we've been hearing for 5 years now since he made the thing down. Actually, it's before that. He thought about running in 2012, and people were
hmm
like, yeah, whatever.
yeah.
But when he actually announced, they've thrown everything at him. He can't do this,
Yeah.
he can't do that, and he ends up doing it all.
Well, and
What's
not
going to
not
make
only
this one any different against a guy that he Hillary's horrible, but at least she knows what the hell she was doing.
right,
At least she was
right.
drawing crowds. At least she was I mean, she was coherent. She might not have been as healthy, but
No,
he's not there. They
no,
even know he's not going to make it past the term.
no. And I think that I think this stuff with Hunter Biden. If you want to go into conspiracy theories, I think that yeah, the media is not really covering it, but I think that the Democrats are still looking at replacing Biden on the ticket before the election.
No,
Now,
see,
of
I
course,
said right. Go
you
ahead.
you don't you don't have to change the ballot. You can because the ballots are what you're voting for the party, but the there's just too much stuff. And I think that between now and the day of the election, you're going to see either Biden come down with coronavirus and declare that he's not fit to serve himself, or this this Hunter Biden stuff is going to get too big, and the Democrats are going to say, okay, we can't obviously have this person serve, but we still want to run Kamala on the ticket, and this is going to be her vice president, or the and this is really really out there. They will literally say because they've come out with genealogy now that they've shown that Biden's family did own slaves in the past apparently,
Right, right.
and somebody will try to cancel culture him and say we can't have this person as president. But we've got a great replacement here, either Hillary, because I've heard some people whispering about Hillary being at the top of the ticket, or Kamala goes to the top and somebody else goes, they nominate somebody else in for vice president. And in any case, getting rid of him is going to be the first choice because I don't think that they can take the risk that people are going to vote on the strength or weakness of Biden itself. I think they're going to have to try some circus trick to where they're going to try to gin up excitement the last week or two and hope that that's enough to put them over the edge.
Right, and I could see that sort of, but at that point they have to postpone, like, because I voted today. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's millions of votes already out there. So
Oh,
how can you switch a candidate when there's votes for that particular candidate? You can't say, well, a vote for Biden is a vote for Harris.
well,
You
let's see.
can't
That's the
really
thing is
say that.
what, and I've wondered about that. And I honestly, I need to do a little more research onto it because what would happen if, say, you had a presidential candidate and they died the week before the election
Right.
for a major party? You wouldn't obviously have that major party taken off of the ticket. There'd be a provision, and there's got to be a provision in the Constitution somewhere for replacing that. But I don't know. I haven't done enough research on it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like some of the rules of golf or baseball where something happens 1 in a billion and it's actually not in the rule book.
Yeah.
There might
Yeah.
not. I mean, no, who thought about that? Oh, so what if someone died? Because nowadays there's early voting, and
Hmm.
it's not just election day like it was. Back in the day, it was either absentee ballots, which are mostly for military or
Yeah.
people that just can't get out of the house.
Yeah.
Uh,
Military and diplomats basically is what it's for.
right. And if you couldn't do that, it's election day. Now, I mean, it's 2 weeks out. I voted today, and
Hmm.
they've been having early voting here in North Carolina since last Thursday.
I was
So,
going to say for more than a week, right? Or
right.
almost a week.
Right. So I don't know if that's the plan of the DNC. I think that I had thought that maybe it would be so bad for Biden or for Hunter that Biden just might fall on the sword and just say I'm dropping out.
Yeah. And
I
and
don't know.
and that's another possibility. You because Biden has built up this aura around him, deserve it or not, of being he's a good guy, he's a trustworthy guy, and I could see that very much being in line with that, where he's like, okay, I'm the good guy here. Yeah, my son's going through all this. I need to help take care of my family. I'm going to bow out to take care of my family because I'm the better guy.
Right.
And you know, but yeah, what's the provisions for that? Does he stay in through the race, and then whenever let's assume he wins, does he, as soon as he wins, does he say, okay, yeah, I know I won, but I'm not going to serve. My vice president's going to serve, and then they go from there, or I don't know constitutionally how the crap would that work.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just can't see him winning or being president or
No,
anything like that. I just
no,
can't.
no. There are some
Yeah,
there are
I
some
think they
people
sh they
who,
should do is just say, you know what? All right, let's fight for 4 years from now. That's what they should do.
yeah,
They should be like, all right, well, we lost, and yeah, he has 3 picks on the Supreme Court. Didn't see that coming. Imagine Hillary having 3 picks on the Supreme Court.
yeah, we that's where I say we really dodged a bullet, and
Right.
that was one of those things that when I was considering voting for Trump the first time, that was the one thing that I was like, I really don't want this batshit insane lady, to have control of that much of the Supreme Court. It's
Right.
just, you know,
Or any of the courts. Yeah.
right. Well,
Any of
that's
the courts. And
you
let's be real, Justice Roberts is not on the right anymore.
no, he's at best he's a Kennedy, where he's squarely in the middle. You never know which way he's gonna go. But it seems like, I don't know if the media attention has gotten to him, if somebody has dirt on him, or if this is just the person he always has been. But he's not who we thought was being nominated. Now, granted, in my opinion, if you have a chief justice, that's who you want as a chief justice, is somebody that you don't necessarily know which way they're going to go, because a chief justice has, while they had the same voting ability as the rest of the justices, they tend to have a little more pull on the direction of the court than everybody else. So
Right.
you want somebody who you don't necessarily know which way they're going to go. But that being said, it is the Supreme Court. They're dealing with the constitutionality of things. Ideally, we all should know which way everybody's going to go, because you should be able to look at the Constitution and clearly read, this is what it says. This is how
You
they're gonna
would
judge.
you would think you would think, but it's turning. Yeah, what's something that shouldn't have been political is now political, and I don't see it ever getting out of it now
Yeah.
because I mean, if Trump wins again, the next oldest is I can't remember his name, but he's like 82 years old. Um, he, Now it's his job to hang on till
Well, yeah.
2024.
Well, Clarence Thomas has said that he's considering retiring if Trump wins. If Trump gets reelected, he's
Good.
considering retiring.
Well, I
And
mean that's fine because then we'll get another younger guy. We'll get another younger Clarence Thomas in there.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, we
yeah.
don't want Clarence Thomas to hang on to 2024. Have him
No,
retire. Have this
no,
other guy just quit. Yeah, make it a 7-2 for all I care. I
yeah.
don't know,
I
but
mean, again, in an ideal world, you would have 9 justices that were all constitutional originalists. Because that's the actual job of the Supreme Court. It's not to create precedent. It's not to say that, hey, this law isn't constitutional, but we're going to tweak it a little bit so that it is. It's to take the law as written, put it up against the Constitution, and say, do these two line up?
Right.
And so ideally you would have 9 justices that all have that viewpoint. Unfortunately, what you have is you have activist judges and you have activist judges on both sides, but it's predominantly on the left, where they literally will read things into the Constitution that don't exist, like health insurance mandate, or like on-demand abortion. Whether you're pro-choice or pro-life, you can't
Not the
deny that
Constitution.
it's not in the Constitution.
No.
Exactly. Which is why Roe versus Wade, in my opinion, should have been left a state's issue.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a state's issue. People think, oh, we can't. No, it's just a state's issue. If you don't like it, go to some other state.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
but
it's
it's become a political thing. Like, all right, Judge Roberts was a Bush pick. How much pull does Bush still have in Roberts' decisions?
Exactly.
How much pull does any of these politicians have in these justices' decisions?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You shouldn't have any, but
no.
who knows now?
And that's the great thing about what I see with Barrett. I don't see her as a person who's going to say, okay, Donald Trump nominated me, and Donald Trump thinks this way, therefore I need to adjudicate in this way because it lines up with him. No,
Right.
she's an originalist. She's a textualist, which means she reads the Constitution and she says, this is what it says. Now let's take the actual text of it and put it up against whatever it is that we have before us.
Right. I think it's funny though because this is all the Democrats made their bed.
Yeah.
She would have never got she would have got nominated, but she wouldn't have got elected. Because back then it had to be a 2/3 vote.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Harry Reid and the Democrats all of a sudden said, well, no, it needs to be a plurality.
Right.
Okay, there you go. There's your plurality right up your ass.
And I think Mitch McConnell, bless his moronic little turtle-headed heart, he warned them about that.
He said you'll regret this.
You will regret that, and they are. I mean, and they now, and the thing they're screaming now is, oh, Trump is packing the court. Trump is not packing the court. Let's put this to rest. Trump is not packing the court. Packing the court is when you add seats that don't exist into a court. So if you have 9 Supreme Court justices, if Trump said, I want to nominate 2 more to make it 11 justices, that would be packing the court. FDR tried that in the 40s, and he failed because it wasn't constitutional.
Right.
What happened was Obama had 1,300 vacancies that he did not fill, whether it's because he didn't feel the need to, whether he didn't take the job seriously, whether he was just lazy. I don't know. I don't care. But when Trump took office,
he nailed them out.
He had 1,300 seats that on top of the ones that he would normally have to fill as president. And that's you don't have a whole lot of jobs as president. That's one of your actual jobs.
Right.
And Obama neglected his duty in that. And guess what? Trump said, well, if you ain't going to do it, by God, I will.
Right.
He put in the judges that he felt were going to do the best job. Now the liberals are crying because they don't have the ability to basically write legislation in the courts, and they know they can't get their legislation passed through the halls of Congress because that's in the public eye. Nobody's going to vote for that crap, or they'll vote for it, but they'll vote for it one time and then they'll be out of office.
Yeah.
So it's not, nobody's packing the court. The only packing of the court is going to happen if Biden gets elected, because they've already said that they're going to pack the court. And if Joe Biden gets elected, whether it's Joe Biden in the Oval Office, or whether it's Kamala Harris in the Oval Office, or whether it's Hillary Clinton in the Oval Office, if they pack the Supreme Court, and you have to assume they're also going to pack the appeals courts the same way, that will be the end of the United States as a country. We cannot survive the Supreme Court being a political entity like Congress and like the presidency is. It has to be a stopgap, and it has to be the upholder of the Constitution, not just some political wing where we say, okay, for the next 50 years we're gonna vote this way on all the issues, to the point where we're not even recognizable as a nation.
Right. Well, I also heard that they're going to pass it. I don't know if it has to be an amendment or something like that, where they're going to make it where it's only 9 and 9
Yeah,
for here on out.
yeah.
So, like, if
Ted
Trump gets
Cruz,
elected, I think that will come through.
yeah,
Like, they're going
Ted,
to pass it. Like, only 9. Sorry, should
yeah,
have done
Ted,
this years ago, but they should have done this in the 40s when FDR was trying to rule the world. But
yeah, Ted Cruz actually is putting that into play, that
right,
that
he
amendment, and
should.
that's a good idea because again, we didn't start off with 9. I think we started off with either 3 or 5, and we
Right.
eventually got to 9. And then 9 is probably too much, honestly. But whatever, it's 9 now. It hasn't been 9 for 150 years.
Right.
So let's leave it alone for a little while. Let's
It
just let
seems
it.
to be working. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And it 9, you don't ever have a situation where if it was, let's say it was just 3 and one of them passed away tragically, unexpected, they were in a car accident or something. Now all of a sudden you're stuck with 2 justices, and if they're both on the same side or they're on opposite sides, that court's at a standstill. The worst case scenario would be they'd be on opposite sides, so the court would be at a standstill until you got somebody else in there. So 9 gives you some protection. It gives you a little bit of a cushion against life happening.
Or do you like 7 better?
No, actually, I'm a big fan of the number 9. Let's leave it
Okay.
at 9.
I mean, 9 is my favorite number.
Absolutely.
Roy Hobbs was number 9. So,
Heck yeah, Roy Hobbs was number 9.
but if like, I wonder how much. This is how much they thought Hillary was going to win. If because Ginsburg should have retired.
Yeah, yeah. Seriously,
If there was
if
any chance that Trump was going to win, she should have retired.
I never understood, other than her own hubris, and she doesn't. God bless her soul. Whether you like her or not, she didn't. She seemed like a decent woman for the most part. Whether you agreed with her rulings or not, I don't want to say she had a big ego, but that's the only thing I can think of. It was her own hubris that when Obama was in office, she didn't step away and say, "I'm going to retire,"
Right.
because that would be a guaranteed, hey, we're going to make sure the person that fills this seat is the kind of person that we as liberals want.
Right.
Because even if the problem with Republicans is, even if you had somebody who you don't agree with any of their rulings, it's very rare for Republicans to smack down a nominee just for political reasons. It happens, but not very often. It's much more of an occurrence where the left smacks it down because this person is pro-life, or this person professes to be a Christian. We can't have any of that.
Can't have that. Yeah. Every president that we've ever have says they're a Christian.
We can't
Even
have this.
Obama. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a Christian. Right, right. Is that what you want me to say? Yes. Yeah, I'm a Christian. Well, how am I gonna get votes? Christian. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, Christian. Yeah,
Big guy.
ignore my history. Just
Yeah.
I'm Christian now.
Ignore my Allah chants.
So so the Democrats have pulled out all the stops, and you think there might be something else coming up, but the thing is that their whole campaign, Biden's whole campaign, has been predicated on lies from the very beginning. His whole campaign, the central point of his campaign, the reason he said he was running was because when Trump stepped up to the microphones in Charlottesville, concerning Charlottesville, Biden said, "Oh, he said that the KKK and white supremacists were fine people." Now, it's just something that I feel led to defend as somebody who's not the most ardent Trump fan. I feel led to defend this because this is just, not only is it a lie, but it's one of the most evil and potentially destructive lies ever in politics. The whole fine people hoax, and it is a hoax. What Trump said was, if you actually read the transcript, was that there were people coming to Charlottesville in support of statues and history and in opposition to the statues and history. And then he said, and there are some fine people on both sides of that argument. And then he literally said the very next sentence, now I'm not talking about the KKK and white supremacists. Those people need to be condemned harshly and at every opportunity.
Right. They
But
skipped out. They skipped that one out.
right,
Right.
so what the media did was they took that one quote, the fine people, and they put that out there without any context. And they literally did that because they knew that would stoke the fires of racial hatred. That you would have people who literally don't consider race or don't consider it important or don't care about it, that they will all of a sudden either become very activated physically by this. Oh, the president in the Oval Office is a white supremacist because he says the KKK is fine people, or you're going to have people who get pissed off at those people and they're driving them to become racist. In
Right.
either case, you create violence, which is, cost billions of dollars in damage, has cost people their lives, has cost the unity of the nation to become degraded, has weakened us as a nation, and all for a political point.
Right.
And it's one that the Biden campaign not only embraced, but they made that the center point of this is why Joe Biden's running.
Right.
And Trump has, yeah, in the stupid first debate, he should have said very forcefully, "I condemn them right now," but he didn't. I think that what he was doing was he was waiting for them to finish their question, and if you know how the media operates, they will ask a question. They'll say, do you condemn racial hatred? Yes, I do. Okay, so do you condemn the KKK? Well, yeah, of course I do. So then, do you condemn the whatever group this is, the next level down? Well, yeah, of course. Until you hit a point where, and for Trump, it was the Proud Boys.
Right. Right. Right.
So then, are you saying you condemn the Proud Boys? Well, I don't really know who they are, but you've already said yes, you condemn them. So then all of a sudden you start condemning people to the point where they're all of a sudden condemning Breitbart, which the New York Times say is racist or something like that. And so when Trump made his Proud Boys comment, when he told them to stand by, I think he was literally anticipating the questioning being, okay, we're going to get down to them. Proud Boys, stand by because you're about to get your moment in the sun. You're going to get mentioned in a national debate. I don't think it was a stand by with your guns getting ready to attack kind of
Right.
thing. But the whole thing pisses me off every time I run into a Biden supporter that still pushes this whole, you know, good people on both sides hoax because it's literally the information's out there. It's no longer you can no longer say you don't know. You can only say I've ignored it willingly, and it pisses me off because it's
Well, it's
not only a
pure.
lie
It's
but it's
pure. It's
violent.
pure laziness and it's pure pandering for the Democrats because what do they care? What do they care if everything burns to the ground and people lose jobs and people lose money and little 5-year-old kids get blown away by their neighbor? Well, who cares about that as long as they get their power back? They'll say
Exactly.
anything and do anything in order to pander to the voters to get their money to get their power back. And that's exactly what they're doing. And unfortunately, it's backfiring. It's all
Yeah.
backfiring because here's the thing: Joe Biden still thinks it's the 70s. He still thinks it's the 80s. He keeps talking about record players. He keeps
Yeah.
talking about. He doesn't understand that everything he says is being recorded. They could just go back and say, "Well, you said this." I mean, how many times has he said about fracking? No, I don't want to ban fracking. And then 2 minutes later, yes, I do want to ban fracking.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Like it's all out there. And if anybody doesn't want to get that, they're just, first of all, they're pure lazy. They're pure
Yeah.
lazy.
Yeah.
You can't just go. It's not like you just pick up your paper and get the news. It's everywhere now. You
Yep.
can't get away with anything. You either stand by something and stay firm to it, but if you go back and forth, it's going to be exposed all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And this is what Biden doesn't understand. He's still running, you know, political campaigns with filing cabinet 70s. It's just not like that anymore. It's
Well,
cell
he did say
phones,
he's
it's
running for
instant
the Senate.
media. It's you could take a video of him saying you're not black and it'll be all over the world in 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, he did say he's running for the Senate just a few weeks ago.
Right. He doesn't. I
He
can't
has.
think of any
I.
worse
I.
candidate. I really can't. Not in my
No.
lifetime.
No. And that part of me feels really bad for him because it's like he's being exploited, but he's put himself in this position. His who I feel not hatred, but who I am kind of disgusted by are people like Jill, the people who are closest to him, who don't just say to him, "Look, you need to step away from this now."
Even Obama says you don't have to do this.
Right. So
He's where's he at? Is he really out there endorsing Joe?
no,
Have you
I
seen
mean,
Obama recently? He doesn't want to put his credit his butt out there,
no,
and
no,
it's yeah, I feel sorry for him because they're using the poor guy.
yeah,
They're using him as a well, yeah. You get out there, you run, you make a fool out of yourself. You're the middle guy. Bernie would have made it worse because he would have exposed everything, but at least you're kind of in the middle. They're using him.
yeah.
This poor old guy. He needs to just go retire somewhere. I don't even know why. I don't know why these people run in their 70s and 80s.
No,
Go
no.
retire. What are you what
I
are you,
mean,
what are you trying to prove at this point?
and yeah, Trump's 74, but Trump has the energy of somebody 20 years younger than him.
And he's done everything. He's
Yeah.
done everything. Like this is his last hurrah. You're in politics for 50 years. Retire. Go do something else. You know
Please,
what if Trump loses in 2 weeks, you know what he's going to do? He's going to go run some more business deals. He's going to go
exactly.
do this. He's going to build another golf course. He's going to do something because he can,
Yeah,
because he
exactly.
will, and he has.
Yeah.
But when you're a career politician, they're scared to death because they don't know what to do. This
Well,
is their whole life.
they're seeing their world that they have so carefully constructed. All these little spider webs, these little tendrils of power running through not only the government that you could see, but the what they call the dark government, where it's it's going through the CIA and the NSA and the deep state, where you have just this web of bureaucrats, and they have constructed this labyrinth of power, and they're seeing the walls there getting just smashed in. And yeah, I mean, they've got to be terrified. They've got to be absolutely panicked, because not only does that mean the end of their power, but all the stuff that they've been hiding. And let's be honest. If you're a politician, you've been in Washington D.C. for more than a decade. You've got stuff to hide. I don't
Yeah,
care how squeaky clean you are. There's not maybe it's not you doing something, but it's somebody associated with you doing something.
right.
They see all this stuff just crashing down around them, and the only way they know to fight it is to take this one person that they see as the key to all this, what they consider chaos, and get rid of him at all costs. That's why we've had one, essentially a coup with the Russian collusion hoax, which was obviously shown to not only be not substantial as far as the facts, but to be literally the opposite of what
Opposite.
they were trying to push. Now they're trying to do it with court packing. They're trying to do it with what's the latest thing that they said Trump was doing? Uh,
But it doesn't matter because
yeah,
everything they throw at him, like if impeachment doesn't work, if he gets impeached and his ratings go up, nothing's gonna work.
yeah.
Like no, it's just they can do whatever. They're gonna fight to the end. The I still want to see a blowout here.
Yeah, I literally I want to see in some paper in America somewhere. I want to see a headline, and it should have happened when Trump came out of Walter Reed after getting out from battling the coronavirus, Wuhan flu, whatever you want to call it. Where it literally says local man fucking invincible. or fucking indestructible or something like that.
Right,
Where
right.
he's got the glowing eyes of a god. He's like, ah. I want to
That's
see
your
that
that's your
headline.
sci-fi mind coming out. Yeah, I get lost when you start doing stuff like that.
But that would be awesome if they showed a picture of him coming out of Walter Reed with glowing eyes and his hair spiked up, and it says "local man fucking invincible."
It
I
won't
mean,
happen to the Washington Times, that's for
oh
sure.
no, I mean that would have to be a New York Post headline
Right.
or
No, no,
something.
Washington Times is a good one. Washington Post
Washington,
is the
yeah, yeah. That's the
yeah.
whole thing. You got to remember, it's the opposite of New York. In New York, Times
Yes,
is bad, Post is good. In Washington, Post is bad, Times is good.
it's the
So,
opposite. And I think Boston's something similar too. I can't remember who. It's newspapers. Why are they even still around to begin with? I don't even understand that.
that's just, I
Newspapers. Come
yeah.
on.
I mean,
So if so let's say if Trump wins, what do you want to see happen seriously in the next 4 years?
in the next 4 years, first off, I'd like for him.
Legislatively.
Okay. Well, as I was going to say, first off, I'd like for him to continue what he's doing as far as in the Middle East, where he's solidifying. Not, I don't want
Right.
to say peace because that place has, from day one, has never really had peace.
Right.
But from the moment that Cain smashed in the skull of Abel, that was the end of
We're
peace.
on, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. So, but he's come as close to it as anybody ever has,
Oh,
and
sure.
I'd
Yeah.
like for him to continue that. But legislatively, I would like to see him push for more tax-friendly policies, whether it's getting rid of the IRS or which would be ideal with either a fair tax or a flat tax or however you want to do it, where the IRS wasn't this amorphous overlord that dictates what you can and can't do. Um, I would love, and I don't think this is going to happen, but he's the only person I can see doing this. I would love to see him get rid of some of this crap ABC government, where you have like the EPA and the DEA and the Department of Education and all this other crap that is not only is it not necessary because the Department of Education is redundant to the educational department in each state. Whether you believe in public schools or not, it's redundant.
It is.
Uh,
Yeah.
but most of these bureaucracies are not only are they not constitutional, they are actively against what they're supposed to actually be doing. So like the department the EPA, for example, which was, by the way, started by a Republican. It was
Nixon. Yeah.
started by Nixon. They are. Let me tell this little story because I know you know this story. But my grandfather was a farmer, and he dug out. He had a creek that ran through his farm, and he dug out little rivulets to water his fields. Well, in doing so, he created a wetland, which of course he did because he was growing crops. Well, the EPA fined him almost $20,000 for digging on his own property, creating an environment that was better than the one he founded. So the EPA in that stand, the EPA was actually doing things that were harmful to the environment while penalizing the people who were doing the good things for the environment. The EPA is and the EPA is the reason that hand in hand with the Department of Forestry Management in California is the reason you have all these stupid wildfires going on.
Right. Right. No, we can't deforest and do stuff that's natural.
Right, right.
We'll
So
let them all burn down.
you have a lot of these little bureaucracies where people get in there and whereas it takes months to pass a law in Congress, if you're a bureaucrat, all you have to do is write down these are our standards and put a fine to it, and all of a sudden you've created a law. Now it might not be a law in the books as far as legislatively a law, but for all intents and purposes, you can put people in jail over it. You can fine them money. How does that differ from an actual law?
Right.
So I'd love for him to reduce the size of government with that, and then do what Reagan did. Just start building back up the military. You don't have to have it bloated. You don't have to have it, absolutely the most massive military in the world, but strengthen it, modernize it to the point where nobody can. I don't want to say nobody can stand up to us, but that's the point, isn't it? I mean, if you're a
Yeah.
country, the whole point of you existing is to get to a point where nobody can beat you, where you ensure your freedom through your strength.
Right. No, yeah, that would be obviously that would be great. I mean, I'm very much like federal government. It defends the Constitution, keeps the taxes low, and builds up the military. All this other crap is
Yeah,
just crap. Like
yeah.
I don't care. Like protect me and my family, and don't take my money.
Mhm.
Other
What?
than that, but to see if Trump would do that or not, I don't know. But yeah, to modernize it, to make it cool to be a Marine again,
Yeah.
and to be in the military. These people that are in the military, and they shouldn't pay for a thing, to be honest with you. I
No.
mean, they already get their education paid for. They get a lot of things paid for, but it
Yeah.
needs to. I think maybe more benefits to them that where you're a 16, a 17-year-old, you're thinking more like, yeah, maybe I should do the ROTC, or maybe I should, join the military and at least go for 2 years or whatever, and then get my college paid for, um, you know, stuff
Well,
like that. Yeah, it'd be good to just make it cool again, make
mhm.
it proud again, and make it beneficial for you to go ahead and serve again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I
that would
served
be
in the
awesome.
I served in the Marine Corps, and I was a warehouseman, I was a supply systems person, and I was a trainer. I had a job in the Marine Corps that, if I chose to, I could translate that into a civilian job very easily. But if I'm an artillery guy or I'm a machine gunner, I can't necessarily translate that into a civilian life. So I think if the and this is just me speaking as former, I think if you had the military where you had the ability to take that last year of a person's career, and you said, okay, we're going to do civilian life counseling, or you give them a year after they get out. If they've served 6 years or 8 years, give them a year where you're still paying them their salary, but they're in school or they're in a trade school or something like that. There's ways to, like you said, to add benefits to the military without breaking the bank, because you already got your GI Bill. You can go to college while you're in the military. The military has their own schools that you can take advantage of, and you can essentially get a degree with that. But a lot of people don't have the time to. If you're serving in the desert on a 2 year tour, you don't have time to sit here and go to engineering school on the side. As
Right.
much as it's available to you, you don't have it. So there's ways that you could modernize it where you can take into account what's their life going to be after they get out of the
And
military.
that's a lot of engineering and STEM type
Hmm.
programs
Yeah.
that once you get out and you have that not only that education but that experience, you can go anywhere and be hired just like that,
Yeah.
because STEM is is valuable. You
Yeah.
know. So yeah, I would like to see that. Obviously, I wasn't really thinking about that, but that's obviously a good thing. I like the amendment to not pack the courts, to keep it at
Yeah.
9. I think
Yeah.
they're already making steps to that. I would love more than anything. I think if anybody can do it, it's Trump. It's time. It is freaking time to have term limits.
Yeah.
Enough's
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Enough is enough. Like the president has term, like you only have 2 terms. Everybody else can sit there and be in politics for the rest of your life. You get 20 years of public service. Now you can climb the ladder, do all that, but once you fill out your 20th year, I mean, you can run for let's say you've been in Congress or whatever in the Senate, and then on your 19th year you decide to run for president. Okay, that's fine. Once you're 20 years, you could run for something on your 20th year, but then after that's done, it's gone. You're
Yeah.
done,
Yeah.
and you cannot be in the office that long. You got to go do something else.
Yeah.
It's time for that to happen.
Well, and I'm somebody who's argued fairly vehemently over the years against term limits, because I feel like what you do then is you limit the people who are like a Ted Cruz, who are great, who you want them to stay in their position, but that doesn't mean that there's not somebody coming up behind him that
Right.
isn't just as good. And
Yeah.
I think that when you take that mindset of, we got to keep this person because they're good, you discount all the people behind them that could be just equally as good or even better.
Right.
Um,
People that have a chance. Like, there's no reason you can't have nurses and firemen and policemen and businessmen and stuff like that say, you know what, I think I can serve my state. I think I can serve my county. I think I can, run for office, and it's a serving opportunity. It's not a career at
no,
all. I mean, yeah, I went vote today, and I'm looking over here, and sure as shit, there's David Price sign. Like, I mean,
Really?
you're like, he's
Oh,
not. I mean, he's not in our district, but I'm like,
no. But I
frick,
remember
is he's still alive?
when I
He's
was
gonna
writing.
win. He never even runs for anything. He just
No.
puts a sign up, and then he's elected. And Jesse Helms was the same way. God bless
Yeah.
Jesse Helms. He's one of my
Yeah.
favorites. But
Yeah.
even though I liked him, it was time to go.
Yeah. I mean, I met David Price when I was my youngest daughter's age. She's 12, and I met David Price at a volunteer fireman's event, fireman day that we had out at Bunn, and he showed up for that thing, and I was not impressed with him back then.
Yeah,
And that was
my mom
that was
actually saw him
36
in
years
Holly
ago.
Hill. Yeah,
Yeah. So
she's like, oh boy, this guy. So I would like to see that. I'd like to see the amendments for the court packing. The other thing I think Trump might do, because it's a second term. He's 74 years old. And love him or hate him, he doesn't care what you think. I
mhm.
would love for him to really clean house and bring out like all the WikiLeaks, all the
Yep.
Assange type things.
Yep.
That doesn't hurt national security,
No.
obviously, but these criminals that have been in office for so long, that like he says, the swamp needs to be coming out. So if he does that, I think nothing's going to be perfect. People are human, but it's too easy to see these people come into office and then leave 20 years later and they're millionaires.
Well, and that's the thing is I could see Trump. I was just thinking almost exactly that. I would love to see him not only do an audit of the Fed, which I think he's one of the only people who could actually do that, but also these people that go into office, and Biden's an example of that, where they're worth, a couple $100,000, and they come out and they're worth millions and millions and millions of
Don't have
dollars.
to look any
Eh,
further than Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, because Bernie Sanders, he's an avowed socialist. How the
Right.
crap is he? Does he have three or four houses and almost $100 million in
Dead,
income?
dead broke when he went in office. Dead
Right.
broke.
So
Bum.
I would love to see him, and I don't know that there's anything legislatively that he could push as president or executive orders, but I would love to see him just open that can just a little bit to where people can see what's actually going on. And
Right.
it's not all lobbyists. It's people who, people like Biden, where he takes his position of power and he says, okay, I'm gonna go to the Ukraine, and I'm gonna have this gas company, and they're going to give my son a job, you know, and they're going to give me money on top of that, and only because I have this position of power. I'm sorry, that's abuse of your position of power.
Yeah.
It just is. That we've heard the term the Hatch Act uh, bandied about a little bit while Trump's in office, because people say, well, he's got hotels and he's got people from other countries staying in the hotels, and that's mixing government and business. Well, what the hell do you think it is when you go over to Ukraine and a private gas company pays you and pays your son, and for a position that he's not qualified for, and
Right.
then you talk to the government of Ukraine, and you get the prosecutor that's investigating the company for corruption, get him canned. How is that not a violation of the Hatch Act? Yeah, it's not you benefiting your property that you own or your business that you own, but it's money going directly into your pocket that you wouldn't have an opportunity to have unless you had that elected seat of power.
Right, and they do that knowing they're abusing their power.
Yeah,
I really think, I don't know. I think Trump's like, well, I mean, why these people are coming over? They could just stay here for nothing. He's thinking
yeah.
about, well, saving money. Like,
Well, not
it
only that,
makes
but I think
sense.
I think he's proud. If you go to one of his hotels, he's proud of what he's built there. He's
Right,
not charging them money. I guarantee you, he's putting them up for free whenever
right.
they stay there, and
Whatever you
he's
want.
he's proud of it. He's like, hey, I know that this is a great place, and I know you're going to have a nice time staying there because it's my damn place. And
Yep.
it's like inviting you into my home without you staying, in my guest bathroom.
Right. And he's
So
not. He's probably not. He's probably not profiting off of that, but he's got workers that are there making money.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's probably the only president that's probably in the last 100 years that actually loses money being in office.
I guarantee you he's losing money.
Oh, he's losing money because he can't obviously focus on his business deals. He's already given up his check
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
That he gave $100,000 of his own personal money. $100,000, I think it was. Maybe it was more than that. I can't remember. It's the National Park Service.
He gave $400,000 to the National Parks.
National Park Service, and all me. I like hiking, and I get all these magazines and stuff like that. I've now got rid of them, but they just slam them for this and that. They didn't mention one thing about the $400,000 that they got from President Trump. Not one thing, because it doesn't fit their agenda. It doesn't serve their own purpose.
In the meantime, you've got idiots who are reading the New York Times, and they say, "Oh, look, Trump only paid $750 in taxes in 2016 or 2015 or whatever, 2012 or whatever year it was," because they don't understand that depreciation is a thing. They don't understand what a business investment is and how you offset that income so that you pay $37 million this year, so that over the next 15 years you only pay a couple thousand. They don't understand that just because you have one tax form that says this is how much this corporation pays, that doesn't have anything to do with how much money is going out and how much taxes are getting paid. If I own a business and I hire you at $100 million a year, and I pay you you're sitting nice, but I pay you $100 million a year, you have to pay taxes on that $100 million a year. Now, here's the thing. I write that off on my business as a business expense, so I don't have to pay taxes on that $100 million a year, but you do. So the government is still getting that tax money, whether it's coming from you or it's coming from me.
Or somebody else, right?
Right. But people don't look at that. All they see is, oh, he only paid $750. Hey, what the hell do you expect?
All these people in power, they have the best accountants and CPAs running their money and having offshore accounts. And John Kerry did all that crap with his yacht, moving it to a different state so he didn't have to pay state tax in theirs because it was more there. They have full-time accountants to make sure their money doesn't get stolen from them, just like anybody else does.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything illegal.
No,
he used loopholes just like everybody else. Just like Mark Cuban does. I bet Mark Cuban sees that and is like, "Oh yeah, well of course he did that. Why?"
Yeah.
You talked about Mark Cuban. I was going to make something about that. Yeah, Mark Cuban has the same mind. He doesn't like Trump because he was the first. He's jealous of him.
Exactly. No,
I think if he went into office, he would be like more conservative than he thinks.
Yeah.
To be honest.
No, I definitely.
Now Bill Gates is a different story. He's a cyborg. He's off the reservation. He's gone. Because at some point you become so successful and so powerful that in your head you think you are the shit.
Yeah.
You're not just a regular human being that made it. You are that important.
Yeah. Exactly. You forget that you started your business off, in your freaking dad's garage.
Right.
You forget that the whole reason that you're able to be successful is because you took advantage of an environment in the 80s where it was much more hands off, where businesses were allowed to grow and people were allowed to prosper. And now that you've got yours, you want to clamp everything down and be super controlling.
Right. Because he's so smart. He's smarter than everybody else.
Yeah.
With his vaccine bullshit.
Dude, are you? Don't get me started on it. I'm waiting for the day because I work in healthcare, and I'm one of these people that if they have the vaccine, I guarantee you they're going to try to push it on people like me, and I'm just like no. Every year they want me to get the flu vaccine, and every single year I sign off a waiver that says I'm not taking a vaccine because I don't. Not that I'm anti-vaccine. I know the benefits of certain vaccines, and God bless the fact that we have a lot of them. I don't like the binders that are in them. I wish that you could get each one of them individually, because the binders are what mess people up. But every year I decline getting the flu vaccine. Every year I have to get in an argument with my boss about it, and every single year I'm the only person in the building that doesn't get sick.
Right. Right.
So the thing with the coronavirus is that we have never successfully made a vaccine for a coronavirus, and this is not the first one. This is just the latest one.
There's no
So
vaccine for the flu, and it's been around forever.
yeah, and people still get the flu.
Right.
But but the thing is that they're going to try to push this, and it's like with the stupid masks. Whether you believe they work or not, it's still a level of control. And if you don't think that's a level of control over you, you are absolutely walking around with blinders on.
No, I know. It's 100%. Right. Right. And yeah. It's I'm seeing it slowly here in North Carolina because we're still in a mask mandate, but
Yeah.
I still see it slowly. People are just like, yeah, I'm not doing this. If I go outside the city, like down in Sanford, people
Hmm.
aren't wearing masks. But if
No.
you're around here in Cary, well, you better wear one because you'll get shamed for it because
Well,
that's all they have is to shame people. Makes them feel good about themselves. Look at me. I'm riding in the car by myself.
for
Aren't
a
I special? Look how much I care.
for
And these
for
people,
this,
even they go to the store, they wear okay, fine. They leave the store and they still have their virtual signaling garment
yeah,
around their
yeah.
neck. And
I've
I
seen a lot of people
guarantee it's
drive
not
around in
because
that.
they think I think they just want people to look at them and say, look how, oh, look, I care. Look how special I am. I said it back in March or April, whatever. It's virtue signaling. Mask
Yeah,
is a virtual signal.
yeah.
Period.
No, exactly. So, um, are you seeing a lot of people around there driving around with masks on?
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh yeah.
that.
Tons.
I don't care. I don't care if you want to wear a mask in the store. I honestly, I understand the benefit of it. I have a history of asthma, so I have a hard time breathing with them. So I choose not to wear them whenever I can. If I go into a store where they say you have to go in there, and I really want something from that store, I've got a stupid mask in my pocket. I'll throw it on in there. I'll go in there, grab my stuff, get out, and as soon as I'm out of the store, I pull the thing off.
I rip it
If
off. Right.
if I walk around and I see one person without a mask on, I pull it off right then.
That's right.
Because what
That's
are they
right.
going to do? Um,
No.
but that being said, some folks watching this video, they might not understand where you live. What's your favorite Carrie story? Do you have a favorite? I know
Oh,
my favorite was the Red Roof Inn. that,
what
that
happened there?
so you remember they built the Red Roof Inn
I know where it's
upside.
at. Right.
So Cary, for anybody who doesn't know, Cary's a small town outside of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Not small
That
anymore.
yeah, exactly. They keep expanding out. It's basically the San Francisco of North Carolina or
Right.
the Santa Cruz. Um, they have tried to do all kinds of funky things to try to make it very homogenous in there. It's very liberal. It's full of a bunch of Karens. Let's put it that way. So the Red Roof Inn came into town, and they were going to build a Red Roof Inn. Now the name of your business is the Red Roof Inn,
Okay, I know. Yeah.
but
Right.
because it's Cary, the Red Roof Inn has a green roof
Right.
because they all the businesses in that area had to have green roofs. So the Red Roof Inn had a green roof, which that's my favorite, even beyond the Krispy Kreme hot donuts now
Well,
time.
that's the one I was about to tell
So
you.
you
There's
tell that
right,
one.
right in that area. I mean, Red Roof Inn, and then the Krispy Kreme's right across the street. But then the other one is the Waffle House. I
Hmm.
mean, you have to know. You have to live in this area to know where that Waffle House is.
Yeah,
Everywhere else in the world, there's a big old sign at the top that says Waffle House. And here there's a sign about as big as this phone right on the side of the road
yep.
says, Waffle House this
Does
way. Shh,
does it
shh,
even say Waffle House or is it just a WH little circle sign?
but it's like somebody like in a dark suit with collars, with sunglasses, and like, hey, looking for the Waffle House? Come here, come follow me. You're like, okay. So
Oh,
well, it's so yeah, it's there. But the Krispy Kreme one, right across the street with that was, if you know Krispy Kreme, it's originated here in Raleigh, I think.
yeah. Actually,
Anyways,
yeah,
so
it's
they
like
had a
Tulsa or something like that. Yeah.
yeah. So there's the main one downtown Raleigh, which but they built a smaller one in Cary. It wasn't just a donut shop. They actually made them. They made them fresh. There's a big window where you could see the donuts being cooked and all that stuff.
Well, the people in Cary petitioned Krispy Kreme for years to get that opened up, didn't they?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
they did.
they begged them for it.
They begged them to open up. And so, I mean, it was always packed, busy, busy, busy. And they're like, okay, well, we want to open a seating area.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that. Oh, what do you mean you can't do that? No, you can't. You can't do that. There's not enough. There's not according to our code. You don't have enough land for this and that. And they go, okay. So they just shut down.
Yeah.
And then now it's a cookout, which is even busier, by the way.
Well, of course it is.
Yeah. So
I'm actually surprised they haven't shut that cookout down. You know.
no, they haven't because they don't demand seating. It's just a drive-through, and they're people are parked, driving all the way down Walnut Street trying to get in. And right down the road, this was a long time ago, but there was a breakfast place called Courtney's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was good. It was so good. And it's now a My Pie or something like Your Pie or whatever. But it was always packed, especially on Sundays after church, just packed. Mm-hmm. And it's a big, wide open parking lot. And they wanted to expand just to make it a little bit bigger for more seating. It doesn't take that much more. Carrie goes, no, you can't do that. Well, it's not, I mean, yeah, the Krispy Kreme's in a tight little spot, but this one's in a wide open parking lot. No, you can't do that. So it's very, that's why they call it the Communist Republic of Cary or something like that.
The collection area for relocated Yankees.
They got that concentrated area. Yeah, right. So I don't know how we got on that topic, but the mask thing. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you go outside the city, you get on US 1 and go south, even 5 miles, and you're in the country, and you go to a gas station. There ain't nobody wearing masks. There are no signs on the thing. But hell's bells, if you come ever close to a dang Harris Teeter and Cary, and you're not wearing your mask within like 50 feet, people are like,
oh my God.
Whoa.
So I had my first person the other day come up to me in a grocery store, and I didn't have my stupid mask on because it was one of those where I saw a couple people not wearing it. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to take mine. Or no, I didn't even take it off. I just pulled it down so I could actually breathe. And I was looking for something, milk or something like that. And this lady comes up behind me and just whispers in my ear, you need to wear your mask right. I didn't even turn around. And I just kept staring at them and said, you need to mind your own damn business. She just walked away. I'm like, I didn't even want to see her because chances I was going to run into her a couple more times in the store. But I'm just like, who in the hell goes up to somebody and does that? Who has so little of a life of their own that they have to manage somebody else's life of somebody that they've never seen before and will probably never see again? You know, and again, I work in the healthcare industry. I get tested for stupid coronavirus every week. Every week it comes back negative. I'm educated every single day on the dangers of the stupid virus, the effectiveness or non-effectiveness, depending on what the mantra of the week is, of the masks. You know, how we need to, because I'm around the senior population, how we need to keep that in mind. And it's all true. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
That makes sense.
Right.
That makes logical sense.
But the thing is this lady probably works as a teller in a bank somewhere, you know, making $9 an hour, and she's going to come up to me and tell me how to run my life. Get the hell away from me, lady. Just, no.
No. One more story I got, and we'll get off the mask thing, but the gym's finally opened here.
Oh, nice.
In North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And, so I started going back because, the summer's over and I have time to focus on that. But you have to wear your mask.
Right.
Okay. Once you get to the machine, you can take it off.
Okay.
You can work out, do everything. But once you leave the machine and go somewhere else, you got to put it back on.
Of course.
Okay. Whatever. So I walk in. There's two stories. I walk in and I'm trying to check in. And this old batty lady was sitting there arguing with the lady behind the counter. I can hear it. She goes, so in the screechy, squeaky, Karen voice. I mean, it's Karen right all over her face. Are you telling me that they don't have to wear their mask when they're working? We're all breathing the same air. I can't. Why? How can you? And I'm like, it took everything in my power to not turn around and say, if you're that worried about it, why are you here?
Exactly.
If it's that scary, you shouldn't be here.
No.
So what tells me is it's not scary to you. This is just your opportunity to be hero. This is your
Yep.
opportunity to bring some sort of value and virtue to your life.
Yep.
That's all it is. Because if you really, really were scared, you wouldn't be there. I have a customer that hasn't left their house since March. Their cars haven't moved. That's crazy. That's stupid. But if they're scared, you're doing the right thing. Don't go
Yeah.
out and tell people how to run their business when they know what they're doing.
Exactly.
And the other thing was kind of, oh, it was funny, but I had the mask, that was over my mouth, but not really over my
Yeah.
nose.
Yeah.
And I'm walking out of the gym, and the lady comes up to me and goes, "Over your mask, over your face." I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So I go to the counter to get like a muscle milk or whatever.
Right.
And of course, this big, muscular black dude comes up like this, and his is not on his nose either. It's right here, and I'm like waiting for the same lady who's right behind the counter to say something to him. Did she say anything to him?
I guarantee you did.
Yeah,
No.
didn't say a dang thing to that dude. And I was just like, I was like, there's so many opportunities that I could like get into it, but I back
See,
off.
you need to get some platform shoes, man, because you shouldn't have old ladies talking to you like that. You're
So
little, but you ain't that little.
So that's the other thing. If Trump gets elected, I think they have to die down this corona. Maybe they won't. I don't know.
Every
This has to die down. I don't think Cooper's going to lose. I think Cooper's going to win again.
really,
Yeah, I do. I'm no. I mean, I voted for Forrest. I think Forrest is
yeah.
a superstar. I think he's great. Um,
What's
but
his background? What's his background? Let's do a little plug for Forrest. I don't know anything about him really.
I actually don't know much about him other than he's
He's
not
not.
right. But North Carolina has, I don't know if this is going to go away eventually once the boomers die and all these originalists from North Carolina go away, but there's something about North Carolina where they just love their Democrat governors.
Hmm.
They'll vote they'll vote Reagan, they'll vote Bush, they vote Obama one time and Romney the next time.
Yeah.
They're typically red. They'll be red this year, I guarantee it. They'll vote
Yeah.
for Trump twice.
Yeah.
But hell's bells, and they will put a Democrat governor in here like it's no tomorrow. I don't understand it. It's like I don't know if it's old school, you know, or Democrats, Dixie. I have no idea. I can't.
I've always explained it by
The
saying that.
ticket splitting states. I just don't understand because
Yeah.
you go up to the northeast, and Trump is probably not going to win New Hampshire. I hope he does.
I'd like
But
to see him
sure,
win New
sure as
Hampshire.
shit, Sununu's going to win governor by 30
Yeah.
points.
Well, look at Massachusetts, where they always have a Democrat governor, and they elected Romney to. I mean, I'm sorry, a Democrat senator, and they elected Romney as governor.
They have a
You know?
they have a Republican governor now. Vermont has a Republican
Yeah.
governor.
Yeah.
Vermont.
I don't understand it. I've always in North Carolina, I've always chalked it up to these are people who move in from out of state, and it changes the dynamic of the voting in North Carolina. And I base that on the fact that I'd say of because I went to two high schools, of the almost 1,000 people that I went to high school with, I can count on one hand the number of hardcore liberals, and everybody else is either conservative leaning moderate or outright conservative.
Well,
It's
you're out more in the country than I
what,
was.
and that's the whole thing is right. It's not like I was in downtown Raleigh. I was
Right.
outside of Raleigh or out towards Lizard Lick and stuff like that. But you get into Charlotte, and you get into places like Cary, or you get into to um to Asheville. That's where you start seeing more liberals, and uh, that's the only explanation I have is that it's either people in those areas somehow skewing the vote, or it's people moving in from out of state, or it's like you said, it's just they just North Carolinians love their Democrat governors, and I don't get it because there was Jim Hunt when I was a kid, and whenever I was an adult, yeah, and but between Jim Hunt there was Jim Martin, who was as conservative a governor as you'd want to find, and a lot of the policies that he pushed as governor was the reason North Carolina was the number one place for business in the nation for years and years and years. It didn't have anything to do with the Democrats in office. It was all Jim Martin's policies. So,
right. Well, since Jim Hunt got in the late 70s, he's been governor twice. That's 16 years. You've had Easley, who's Democrat. You've had Perdue, who's Democrat. You've had one other guy. But in the middle, since the late 70s to now, there's been two Republicans, and they're both one-termers.
Yeah. Yeah.
It blows my mind. So yeah, I would love Forrest to win. I think the lieutenant governor is going to win. The Mark Robinson. Oh, he's good. He's the big black guy.
Yeah.
He's a superstar. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope Trump coattails.
Well, the thing is that we sit around where I work. We sit around in manager meetings. And it's all people who, again, we're all folks who work in healthcare, who we're all at least semi-educated. I don't consider myself super educated, but I'm at least intelligent. But we're all intelligent, informed people, and there's 12 or 13 managers sitting around this table, and 12 out of the 13 are people who are Trump supporters. And we're all convinced that within a week after the election, if the winner is declared immediately, if Trump wins, the mask mandate is going to go away. Period. That it's not that the virus, not saying that the virus is a fraud or anything like that or a hoax, but it's being ginned up for political reasons. And once the election's over with, there's no reason to keep ginning it up.
Right.
If
you want to wear a mask all you want. If you're a business, if you own a business and you think masks are important, you as a business owner can say you cannot enter this without a mask.
Yeah, but you could have done that the whole time. You could have done that the whole time.
You could have done that the whole time. I have no problem with that. What I do have a problem when it's I ran into someone at McDonald's. He said, "Well, you got to follow the law." I said, "Do you know what the difference between a law and a mandate is?" Obviously you don't, because you just used the word law.
Yeah.
It's not a law. We didn't vote on it. The legislation didn't vote on it. The Congress didn't accept it. It's not a law. It's a mandate.
Yeah.
It goes through.
Well, I mean, technically in Ohio, we have a mask mandate. I was talking to my wife the other day about it because there's a Walmart in the town that I live in, and they have a sign over the door that said masks recommended. And I'd say probably 3/4 of the people in the Walmart are wearing masks. The rest of them, the handful of people who aren't, whatever. Nobody bothers you.
Right.
If you go 3 or 4 miles down the road, there's another Walmart, and they have it's a state mandate sign over it. And that's the same company.
Right.
It's the same area, but you can't go in. They'll literally turn you away at the door if you don't have a mask on.
Right.
So there's no difference locality wise. There's no difference law wise. But so I got into not an argument, but Becky and I were talking about the mask mandate, and I told her, I said, I think maybe the mandate had been pulled, and they had talked about it, but they didn't pull it in Ohio. But what the governor did say was he said we're not going to pull it, but we're also not going to enforce it.
Right.
So
that's how it started off.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it became enforced.
Yeah. So what he did was he basically put the mandate in place to give the businesses cover. So if they wanted to put up a sign that says you have to wear a mask in here, they can make him look like the bad guy. They can say, no, this isn't us. This is the state saying that, but he's not enforcing it. So if you're a business and you don't want to enforce it, fine, whatever. Nobody's going to say anything to you.
Right.
The local sheriffs have said if somebody calls us, we're not in the mask police. If somebody calls us, we're not going to go look for somebody.
They'll never stop. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
People have lost their minds on this, and I think it was kind of on purpose, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really do. I think I pray, if I can be an optimist, that next year is going to be pretty darn good. I hope so. I hope it gets back to normal, because man, I can't do this. You know,
We can't. I don't think we as a culture can survive with this for another 9 months. I don't 5 or 6 months maybe to get you through flu season. I can kind of see that, but as soon as spring hits, no. This is if this hasn't gone away by then, we're lost as a nation, and
right,
we're not gonna destroy ourselves from within. But that essential quality that makes us Americans, that quality that causes us to storm the beaches at Normandy, or or fight at Iwo Jima and stuff like that. That mindset is going to get killed by this kind of crap, where
right.
people are just consciously or subconsciously just getting beaten down by it.
Yeah, yeah. And people, I mean, at some point you just gotta be sick of it and just be like, I, I think it's going to come from the people. I think there's enough people that are, especially if Trump gets reelected, are just going to be like, no,
Yep,
no,
exactly.
no, and but
And and how good do you feel when you see somebody, at like a gas station or a grocery store where they're not wearing a mask and you're not wearing a mask? I mean, you
I,
feel some solidarity with them, right?
right, right, I do because like I'm like you. I walk in and I could see and I see nobody with a mask. I mean, I don't wear it until I get there. And then walk in and then put on the mask.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't like. I'm not one of these guys that park the car, put the mask on like this, and get out of the car. Like, no, I wait to the last possible second, and then once I check out, I rip that thing before I even come out. But
Yeah,
if I see someone in there not wearing one, I'm not going to wear one either. Just not only do I have confidence, but he can look at me and say, okay, cool,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So
And maybe there's a third person out there that you guys don't see, but that they see you, and now you're giving that person confidence,
right.
so that down the road they're like, well, what the crap? I ain't wearing this stupid thing.
No, I've walked in where there's people working there that don't even wear it.
Yeah, well, and that's what I see when I got a new cell phone a few weeks ago, and the guy that was selling us our cell phone wasn't wearing a mask. Now he had one, because every time somebody would come in, he'd put it on, and then if they gave him a weird look, he'd take it right off because he knew. He's like, this is stupid. It's
Right.
it's a it's a 1,000 square foot showroom for cell phones, and there's two people standing in here. There's no reason for us to be wearing a mask.
Well, it's like so. I'm at the gym and they got all these TVs all over the place, right? So they have,
Hmm.
there's obviously sports on some of them, and the NBA was going on or the WNBA,
Hmm.
and these are these people like doing interviews, right, to the camera. There's nobody in the stands. They're not
Yeah.
even playing basketball. This is like pregame,
Yep.
and they have a mask on. And, and well, of course, you know what it says on the mask, right? Vote.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh well, I wasn't going to vote, but I saw the lady on the ESPN with doing the WNBA pregame had a thing mask on that said vote, so I'm going to vote now.
It's
Thank you
it's
for
got me
showing me the
convinced.
way. Like what? Not only you virtual signal with your mask with nobody in there, you also put vote on there.
Yeah,
Like you're going to convince somebody to do that.
yeah,
I, I, I,
yeah. I like the masks that you've shown a little bit online where it's got like this mask sucks, or I'm only wearing this because I'm being forced to, or something. A message like that. If you're
right.
gonna wear one, now I can't wear one like that at work, obviously. But if
No,
I was
I
just
had one that
public,
said this mask is as useless as our governor, but I think it got stolen. And then I had two of them with the middle finger,
yeah,
but that got stolen too. I think someone took it. Like you're
that's the
stealing
best.
masks now? Is that what we're doing?
That's the world we live in now. You got masked bandits.
Yeah. So I was up in Pennsylvania at the gym and there was more people up there with Trump 2020 or MAGA mask on stuff
Yeah,
like that. You don't see that here in Cary, but which is
no,
weird. You see it
that's
in
that's
Pennsylvania.
odd. That's odd.
Yeah.
But I'm really hopeful for the election. I think uh you want to go ahead and give election predictions.
Yeah, well, you go ahead. I think we should close it out with what we think's going to happen.
Okay, so I think that it's going to be a blowout. I honestly think that there is going to be early returns where they're going to try to push Biden, just the same thing they do every presidential election. They try to push the Democrat early, and then they Trump slowly catches up and then passes, and then as things come in, the anchors are going to be shocked because it's a Trump blowout. I'm looking at the numbers I came up with were three. I can't remember if it was 328 or 330 for Trump, and whatever else was left for Biden, 170 or something like that for Biden. I think if you don't see that, I think this is going to be a prolonged couple months before we actually know what's going on. But I think that's the only way that we're actually going to have a legitimate result is if it is a blow one way or the other. If it's a Biden blowout, I think it's going to be Trump's going to be as gracious as possible and say, yeah, hey, it wasn't our year. Congratulations, Mr. Biden. I hope you live to see Inauguration Day.
That'd be great.
Not that we're wishing anything bad on Joe. I really hope he does well. I hope that health wise, I hope that he lives another 20 years. I don't see that happening, but you always wish somebody the best physically. But that's how I see it. I see a Trump blowout, and I base that entirely on the lack of road signs that I see, and my coworkers in an industry that is notoriously liberal, where the vast majority of them are conservative who are voting for Trump. And there's people who admit that they didn't vote for Trump the first time.
Right. Yeah. I'm on the same wavelength you are. And I think it's because in 2016, people were a little bit like, Trump, Hillary. Like, I think it's going to be a high turnout. I think it's going to be a very high turnout for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I think people that didn't vote before are going to vote now. I think the black guys are going to come out and vote for Trump more than any Republican since who knows what, since probably Teddy Roosevelt. But more I think about, and this isn't really like my best case scenario. I really think we're looking at a pretty sizable win. I would love to see them win the House. I don't think that's going to happen. I'd like to see them get a couple seats in the Senate. The one in Alabama is a shoo-in. I'd like to see the one in Arizona happen, the McSally over Sinema. I think Tom Tillis is going to win here in North Carolina. I really do.
I'd like to see that.
He's an incumbent, and it's like North Carolina. They run their Republican senators all the time. I think Trump's going to win every state that he had last time, and I think he's going to add Minnesota, New Hampshire, maybe I don't. Nevada's kind of weird, but I think there might be a surprise in there. A real surprise, like a Virginia or something like that. I know Virginia used to be red as red could be.
Yeah. But I don't know what happened 15 or 20 years ago.
Spread out more than Kerry.
Yeah, exactly.
I think early on when you turn on and you see some of these states like Georgia go quick. North Carolina's not going to go quick. But some of these ones, like last time Georgia kind of hung around a little bit. Even South Carolina kind of hang around a little bit. Because when you first open up, they go, like, Indiana's here, Vermont's there. And when you start seeing like states that usually go quick and for the Democrats but kind of linger a little bit, or you see ones that kind of linger but go to Trump pretty quick, I think at that point you're gonna see a blowout. And I've been seeing like the early votes are not benefiting the Democrats like they thought.
No, and that actually that's surprising me because I thought I would have put money on early votes being 70% Democrat.
Yeah, it's still there, but it's not where the vote. It's not what they thought it would be. Registration is through the roof for the GOP in Florida, for the roof for the GOP in Pennsylvania. Michigan numbers look insane right now for early voting for Michigan for Republicans.
Yeah. How much of that do you think is backlash, not against the Democrats in general, but against the individual governors? Because I think it's specifically about Michigan, where you got Whitmer out there, who's just an absolute moron.
Right. Oh, that's the other. I think John James will win in Michigan too. I really do.
I'd like to see that.
I think he's going to win. I don't think Whitmer's up for re-election, but she's a Nazi. She's pure Nazi.
Yeah.
She goes against her own Supreme Court.
Exactly. She
They're,
is. She is
no, you can't
exactly
buy
what they
seeds.
train.
You can't have your own garden.
She is what. So here's the thing. Uh, I got a liberal buddy of mine who's an attorney down in Florida who I've been friends with since we were in elementary school. I'd love to get on a debate with him just because he's the smartest liberal that I know. He's the only one that I know that could actually probably hang with me in a debate. Not bragging on myself, but just most liberals are morons. but but everything that he says that he wanted Democrats to do. Well, I'm sorry, he doesn't say it. He makes the argument, and it's true, that if Trump did what the Democrats wanted Trump say that they wanted Trump to do, they'd be accusing him of being Hitler, which they do anyway. But they'd be able to point this out and say this is what he did. But because he didn't do stuff, they're saying, "Oh no, you did bad because you didn't do this stuff."
Right, right,
Whereas,
right, right.
and what he points out as an honest liberal is that the governors that followed the model that the Democrats wanted to do, their states were decimated, and they had the highest death tolls in the country, and their economies are trash, and they're getting voted out of power because they screwed everything up so badly. So I think a lot of the Trump vote. I think the reason you're seeing so much of a swell for Trump isn't just Trump. I think it's people who are usually non-political seeing what the Democrats have actually done with
Right.
a little bit of a chance for power, and they're like, "Oh hell no, we ain't
Yeah.
we ain't doing this."
Yeah, and plus it helps that you're an incumbent.
Yeah.
The thought of Donald Trump being president is already there. It's not like 2016 where it's like, oh, that can't happen. That'd be weird.
Oh
He's already president,
yeah.
so it's not as scary to think about that. So I think he's going to get more votes. I think everything is going to happen the way I like it, except I don't think we're going to win the House back. We're going to gain seats. We're going
Right.
to gain seats. Not going to win the House back. Cooper's going to win. But I do think everybody's saying that Biden will still win the popular vote. I think
Yeah.
Trump's going to win.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. Just because I think that the the Democrats have shot themselves in the foot by fear mongering so much, and I think that their urban areas where people normally turn out to vote in massive numbers, they're not going to turn out. And unfortunately, right or wrong, the mail-in ballots that they're using are not reliable, and so a
No.
lot of them are going to be thrown out, and not because we're kind of rigged the vote or anything like that. They're going to get thrown out for legitimate reasons. Hey, you didn't sign your ballot. Sorry, we have to throw that out
Right.
because the people that are the Democrat voters in these urban areas, there's a lot of great people out there, but there's also a significant section of that population who just aren't the brightest tools, the brightest bulbs in the hallway. They're just not, unfortunately, and they're going to make mistakes, and it's natural that they're going to make mistakes, and unfortunately for them, that means that their voice isn't going to get heard. So
Well, and the other thing I think they shot themselves in the foot is they fear mongered this coronavirus so much that they're making their people scared to go out and vote
yeah, yeah. Well, that's what
in
that's what I'm
person.
talking about. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah. So if the mail-in ballot doesn't work, then
yeah.
this whole red mirage type thing where they're going to delay it and they're going to count all these. I don't think that's going to. I thought that might have happened a month ago, but I don't think that's going to happen now. I
Well,
think it's
we
going to be clear cut.
we already went through that kind of fiasco in Bush versus Gore in Florida,
Yeah.
and I don't think the American people are going to put up with that anymore.
Okay.
There's too many stories out there of voter fraud that people are obviously seeing. There's places where ballot boxes are being set on fire, things like that. People have their eyes open. It's like we were talking about earlier, where back in the day you used to read the paper and that was the only news that you got. Sorry, people have too much information now to try to
Right.
pull this crap off.
Yeah. Even that's all they got. You still got it a day or two later too. Now it's
Yeah,
instant
yeah,
and
exactly.
quick and multiple sources. It's just
Yep.
boom.
Yeah, and if
So,
you have somebody in Pennsylvania who mailed in their ballot and they got all their ballot filled out properly and they got it sent in and their vote was counted like it should be and everything, and they see a news story where Well, the LA County 13,000 people's ballots were invalidated because that person at Pennsylvania isn't thinking, oh, they're trying to rig the election. That person in Pennsylvania is thinking, well, those people are morons. I don't want their vote counted anyway because they're obviously not smart enough to fill out a ballot.
Right. Or they're thinking, I don't trust the mail-in ballot. I'm
Yeah,
going to go vote in person.
yeah, exactly. I
Or
know.
not vote at all.
Well, I know people. I know some people who are doing both. They're mailing in their ballot and then they're going to vote in person, knowing that their vote's not going to be counted twice.
Right.
And honestly, here's the thing: if Trump wanted to be sneaky smart about it, that's what he would recommend to people.
I think he would though.
He might have. I wouldn't put it past him, but he would recommend, hey, mail in your ballot and then go vote in person, because that would do one of two things: either it would ensure that their vote would be counted, which is what he would actually be saying. But if the Democrats objected to it, all you have to say is, well, if you mail in the ballot and it's counted, it invalidates your vote at the booth, so it's not like you're voting twice.
Right.
So
It's still a vote.
either the mail-in ballot works and that second vote wouldn't count, or it doesn't work and proving my point.
Oh yeah. All I did was ensure my vote.
Yeah, exactly.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think that was good. What do you? Any last thoughts?
No, not really. I would like to thank everybody for listening to us. Kind of ramble on. This is a really important time. Everybody says at election time, especially presidential elections, this is the most important election of our life.
Right.
Honestly, for what's on the line, and I'm not being hyperbolic at all, for what's on the line and what the alternative is, what the stated alternative is by the people on the other side that are running and what they have said that they are going to do. This is literally the most important election of our lifetimes. Thank God we got the 3 Supreme Court justices in that we did, because that at least gives us a little bit of a safety net. But that doesn't stop, if the Democrats get in power, that doesn't stop them from packing courts. That doesn't stop them from forcing through legislation and creating as much damage as they possibly can in the short period of time that they would have. So I would recommend anybody that hasn't registered to vote. A lot of places they have same day registration.
Yep.
Go out, bring your ID with
you.
They
did today.
Have all your documentation ready and vote. Vote literally like your life depends on it. Because if the last 6 months have taught us anything, it's that if the left has power, your life literally is at risk. There are people getting killed and getting beat up, and their businesses and their lifestyle getting absolutely destroyed based on the mindset of the people on the left. So anyway, on that cheery note,
good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sign us off.
Yeah, man. So I would again like to thank everybody for listening to us. It has been an absolute pleasure just chatting with RJ as usual. If you guys would, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button or the thumbs up button or whatever button it is they have there. But give us a review. Give us a rating and a review. Remember, 5 stars, five little stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. That's the number of stars you need to give us. Because if you don't, we're going to come to your house, hunt you down, and beat you to death. Okay? Because we don't really give a crap.
And we're gonna steal your Biden sign.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, at any rate, for RJ Dufresne, my name is Jack Rizzo. Thanks, guys, for listening to us. Check us out next time on Red Pill History. We're done.